Hello and welcome to the McDonald Hendricks County Sports Show on audiosportsonline.net and XRB Radio, the voice of Hendricks County. Upcoming on this episode, we'll have loads to talk about tonight with the beginning of a whole new football season. We'll recap last year's finishes within Hendricks County and look ahead to what is now in store for us with a new year. We'll also be joined by head coach Mark Bless of Avon High School and a couple of his players. We'll also have a chat with Avon Athletic Director Brad Holsinger, hopefully, and talk about the big picture with Avon Athletics. And we'll preview all the action from around Hendricks County sports. The McDonald's Hendricks County Sports Show is brought to you by your local Avon or Brownsburg McDonald's. You can stop into any Brownsburg or Avon McDonald's and try one of their $2 tasty specials, the jalapeno burger or triple cheeseburger. McDonald's is a proud supporter of Avon and Brownsburg athletics and is proud to host the McDonald's Hendricks County Sports Show, taped Wednesday nights on location and aired Friday nights before football on xrbradio.com, 1610 a.m. McDonald's has two locations in Brownsburg and Avon. In Brownsburg, they are located at the corner of Main and Odell next to March, and just off of Green Street next to Interstate 74. In Avon, you can find them at the corner of 267 and 36 next to Kroger, or on Rockville Road next to Meyer. You can... Today is Wednesday, August 20th, 2014. From the State Route 267 McDonald's location in Avon, this is the Hendricks County Sports Show. I'm your host, J.P. Sinclair, and I'm joined by Avon head football coach Mark Bless. How are you doing tonight, Coach?
Good.
Heard you have
we kind of beat the weather today to get a good practice in, so that was kind of nice.
Heard you have some big news with some of your head coaches or your assistant coaches, so obviously you want to wish them well. Take a moment and do that.
Absolutely. Thank you, JP. Our offensive coordinator, Eric Moore, and his wife, Amber, had a baby girl this morning, so we let him out of practice tonight. But I want to get over to the hospital, see the little one, and say hi to the couple, so thank you.
Also, you and I at least have one thing in common. We hadn't met before tonight, but we're both undergrads at the University of Annapolis, a fantastic school on the south side, and obviously that's a good recruiting connection for some of your players. It is, and obviously I went there a few more years prior than you, but
just very fine institution. Actually, my father was the head coach for about 23 years there, and both of my other brothers went to school and played for our father, and now my son just got hired as a graduate assistant football coach at UIndy. So it's we've kind of grown up with the university.
Yeah, obviously some good connections there. But let's go ahead and get right into some gridiron talk, Coach. Last year, your squad went to a record of 6-4 with a sectional loss to Ben Davis. What does this year really hold in store for us when you look at your squad?
Well, I think we've got enough returning players that we weren't real satisfied with the outcome of our season. I think that we did a tremendous job in some areas of the season last year. I think we had enough returners that played on those games that it made them hungry in the offseason. We had a great offseason in the weight room, doing the things that we need to do to prepare for a solid season coming up. So, I really appreciate all the work that our players have put into the offseason as well as our coaches.
Well, one of the big returnees that you have is junior Brandon Peters, as a young up-and-coming talent. With a very solid sophomore campaign now going into his junior year. What should we keep an eye on this season in regards to him and his continued growth?
Well, I think he had a nice sophomore season, which, probably was difficult stepping in and being able to handle the role. He did a very fine job for us. But I think this year, more than anything, we look at him, being able to make plays, but also to help us lead the team. And I think that's a big expectation that the coaching staff has, as well as him being able to just be the field general of the offense instead of just playing quarterback.
So you want to see some more leadership from him coming into this year?
Yes, absolutely.
In regards to other offense talent that you guys have, what do you expect from your rushing game this year?
Well, we feel pretty good about our offensive attack, obviously with Brandon at quarterback, but we also have Derek Tennant returning at running back. And, Derek's got some nice moves and a little wiggle to him, has a lot of experience from the last 2 years. We have a starting tight end coming back in Matt Moore, a couple solid offensive linemen, Zach Ryan and Ross Carter, both starters, and then Andrew Griffin, who actually had time on both sides of the ball last year.
Well, when it comes to Tennant, had 4 rushing touchdowns last year, so obviously he has a good nose for the end zone. When you look at him, do you see more of a kind of scat back or a power back? Tailback?
I don't. Maybe terminology of a scat back, but he's a guy that can do a little bit of everything. He's got great hands coming out of the backfield. Runs with some authority when he needs to. He can drop his shoulder, but he's got good movement skills. He can put his foot in the ground and change direction very quickly.
So probably one of the biggest contributors that you had last year, not returning from last year's team, is Crest Kimbrough, who last year received honorable mention in the All-State team, played in the All-Star game. I expect to step up and fill such a big void in that offensive scheme for you guys.
Well, that's a good question. That's something we're still trying to work on. Crest did a lot of good things for us, and I think he showed that statewide in the All-Star game. Scored the first touchdown for the South team and was the leading receiver for the South. But as I mentioned, Andrew Griffin, very experienced, only a junior. He runs great routes and gets open. His older brother, Kendall, was a receiver for us about 4 years ago, and was an All-State player. We also look at Cole Rightling. Cole gives us a little bit of speed on the field, and our tight end as well. But we may also steal a couple defensive players from time to time to give us a little more of a deep threat in there as well.
When it comes to the two-way player, it's always kind of fascinating to me to be able to try and keep in mind both what you have to know for the offensive playbook when your number gets called on that side of the ball, but also remembering the scheme and where you're supposed to be and when you're supposed to be there on the defensive end to react accordingly. So you have a couple players that you expect to really be able to fill that role.
Absolutely. We try to two-platoon as much as possible, and what we try to do, and we did it with Lance McGee a couple years ago, Dominic Blackman a few years prior to that, is once we get somebody that's established by their defensive position, then we're going to steal time and a half and be able to get them some reps on offense or on defense even.
Well, speaking of defensively, you have some bigger changes to this team with seniors Chad Piatek, Matt Devin, and David Griffith all graduating. Obviously, so those are some big shoes to fill on that side of the ball.
That's true. We feel like we've got a pretty good defense right now put together. They've exhibited very well in our inter-squad scrimmage at Bloomington. But I think we're led a lot by our front three, if you will. Joe Belden, he's an IU commit right now. Rashawn Brent, he's another defensive lineman for us. And then you look at our linebacking core, and we're very happy with that. Matt Thompson, Zach Williams, Brody Good, who is a little banged up right now. But, all those guys had great experience. And then you throw in the mix Bryant Fitzgerald, who's only a sophomore, and he's able to play safety. He's able to play outside linebacker, and he's going to be a player to keep an eye on as well.
Now, defensively, does your scheme fit more into a 3-4 or 4-3?
We call our base a 3-3, 3-3 stack, if you will. But out of that, we've got many things we can get into. For example, last year we played more of a 4-man front because of personnel, and we want to be flexible enough to be able to handle the spread offense, to be able to handle a double tight formation, so we can get in and out of some fronts with the flexibility of a 3-3 defense.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a hybrid kind of defense like that, it gives you a lot of options depending on who you're facing on any given week.
It also allows us to be aggressive when we want to be aggressive. Offensively, when we're facing our defense, they give us trouble sometimes being able to pick up some of the stunts that we run on defense. So we definitely look forward to seeing the first game and watching our defense operate.
You talked about that scrimmage in Bloomington North. Let's go ahead and talk about that. You played there earlier this week. How did that go?
It went very well. Offense, we started to click. Brandon threw the ball lights out that day. Our receivers ran great routes. Our running game was going. And defensively, I don't think we surrendered any points until the last play of the scrimmage, and that was more of the JV players. But very pleased, and we felt like we came out healthy. As I mentioned, Brody kind of has a little tweak with his knee, kind of day-to-day right now, so we'll see where he's at.
Out of that scrimmage, what was kind of your biggest surprise?
Well, I think one thing offensively, because we're, preseason, it's obvious that your offense is going to be a little behind your defense. But it was a good day for the offense to click and put some execution together. Felt good about our offensive line. Probably the enthusiasm is one thing that stuck out on both sides of the ball.
What was some of your biggest disappointments coming out of it, though?
really we didn't have too many.
Well, that's a good thing.
Being a little banged up, not knowing for sure where Brody is with his injury. But all in all, it was a good night. And I think on both sides that we came out injury-free, because we are scrimmaging one of my brother's teams. So, I don't want to leave the field and see him with one of his guys banged up. But all in all, it was a good night for both programs.
What would you say is the biggest thing that this team needs to improve on from last year to have more success this season?
Well, I think we need to finish. We need to finish plays. We need to finish our execution. We need to finish games. And last year, our record wound up being 6-4. Easily could have been an 8-2 or better.
Yeah, you did have a couple of games that were just a couple of points.
Exactly. And I think with a little bit of more maturity, especially offensively, that we can kind of, be able to execute down the line and be able to finish games with a score when we need a score. Defense to finish a drive and get the opponent's offense off the field in 3 plays.
We talked about your offense and defense. What about special teams? What do you expect to see from that? That's kind of the forgotten side of the ball.
And you're right. And we try not to, we're in a situation with a balanced school calendar that we don't get 2-a-days anymore. And 2-a-days used to be a good time to install and work execution of special teams. And, we made sure this summer we spent time on special teams, and we want to emphasize special teams because we feel like it can make a difference in a game. It can win a game or lose a game for you. And we do have one returning kicker back. Alex Steffen was a kicker for us on kickoffs last year. Now we lose a good one in Niles, but we feel like Alex can step in. We also have Sam Perino who's stepping over from soccer to kick for us. And we feel very solid with our return game as well.
Yeah, you talk about Alex. He did have 5 touchbacks, so he can obviously put a little bit of a boom in the ball when he kicks it off.
Yeah, and we expect consistency out of Alex now. He got a year under his belt. Now we need to see consistent kicks.
Up next for this team is Lawrence Central. The Bears last season had some real struggles of their own. They only went 3-7 last year, but where they really struggled was throwing the ball. What's the game plan going up into this matchup?
Well, I think they've got a very athletic quarterback. He's not a big guy, but he's a guy that can maneuver very well. We need to make sure we surround him and keep him contained. Pressure in the quarterback, I think, is a key. But they also have a couple good, solid running backs, good size, run well. So we've got to respect their speed and make sure we attack them before they get going.
Well, all in all, when it comes to this season, we talked about what you kind of want to see from your team as far as growth. What would you say would probably be the best season that you can possibly hope for with your squad?
Well, our ultimate goal every year is to compete for a 6A state championship, and I know our players believe in that, and we work towards that every day, and that's our goal.
Well, yeah, sure. Go ahead, Chris. He's looking forward to Chris, our correspondent, co-host, if you will, Chris Worley's looking forward to Game 2 at home versus Ben Davis. It's kind of a big game. You talked about that sectional loss last year to Ben Davis. I'm sure your team's kind of already looking forward to that. But what do you have to do to keep them focused on this week and also look ahead to next week?
Exactly, and that's a key. There's a lot of games down the road that we probably look forward to or can't wait to happen, but you got to take care of the moment. And right now our moment's at Lawrence Central. We'll worry about the big game next week and the next big game after that. But I think our focus and our players have done a super job of studying scouting reports, watching film on Lawrence Central, and not even peeking to the next week opponent.
Yeah, because Ben Davis is historically known for having a good football team. So obviously I know that's one thing that you probably want to get big W there. That put a good staple on the season, particularly at the start.
You sure would.
Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up here. We'll go ahead and talk to some of your athletes. When we come back, we'll talk to Drew Shayatovich. I want to get it.
And
Drew Shayatovich and Zach Williams. So we'll take a step away and then get them and talk to them a little bit.
Great.
You're listening to AudioSportsOnline.com coverage of the McDonald Centers County Sports Show. Welcome back to the McDonald's Hendricks County Sports Show. Well, welcome in now, Senior now. Drew Shea is what I'm going to call him, I think, now, after I've already butchered your name once.
It happens quite often.
So you're coming into your senior year. What do you hope to get out of it this year? I mean, obviously it's your big year.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is everybody looking up to me this year. It puts a lot more pressure on your shoulders, but at the same time, it reminds you that you can't take anything for granted, and this is the last ride you get, and we want nothing less than a state championship.
Obviously, being a senior, you have a lot more leadership duties, particularly, when a guy like David Griffith graduates. So is that something you're looking forward to, kind of carrying that leadership role a little bit more?
Yeah, last year I got the opportunity to play behind David a little bit and almost learn from him and the way he leads on the field, both on the field and off the field. He set a great example for me and the other defensive backs who are seniors this year. And I think it was a great opportunity to learn from him, and I hope to carry over as well as he did in the leadership category.
So being a DB, what's your favorite part about playing that position?
Getting picks. That's
Getting
the best play when they throw it up, and they don't think you can make a play, and you do.
Is that one of your goals this year, to get a pick six for the season?
I would definitely like to get a pick six by the end of the year, and I like to be in contention for the lead in the conference in interceptions by the end of the year, too.
That's a good goal to have right there. Tell us a little bit more about what you do other than football.
Outside of football, I'm actually involved in DECA, which is a international-wide business club, and I'm actually the Indiana state president of that. So I'm pretty involved with that, and then I got some other clubs at the high school, National Honor Society, and Spanish National Honor Society, and all the fun ones like that. So I keep busy for sure, but football is definitely number one.
Well, it sounds like a heavy load that you have to carry, even on top of being just a student athlete and your regular studies. What do you want to do after you graduate this year?
I'd like to go into chemical engineering. I know that. I'm looking at a couple schools. Purdue obviously is a good engineering school. But maybe out of state too. I got a couple options around there, so we'll see. But I'm definitely excited, and I'm ready to get going.
Okay. What talk to Coach a little bit about it. You got Lawrence Central this week. You excited to play them?
I think we're all really excited to get a chance. We feel as though sometimes the HCC is overlooked, kind of in the shadows of the MIC, and we feel like this is an opportunity for us to come out and say we're just as good as them. So we definitely feel as though it's a statement game for us.
Yeah, Hoosier Crossroads have some great teams on it. Do you have anything else you want to share while you're with us?
Not a whole lot. Thanks for having us out.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and talk to Zach Williams now. So give us just 1 second to switch around the mics.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Well, now we got Zach Williams, also a senior, correct?
Yes.
You also play on the defensive side of the ball. And what position do you play?
I'm a linebacker, middle and outside. I switch around.
Yeah, we talked to Coach. You kind of have a little bit of a 3-3 hybrid set. Do you ever get up on the line of scrimmage very much with that set?
Not normally. Usually I'm the one calling out the pre-play or making adjustments before the play at the line of scrimmage, so they like to have me back so I can see the whole field.
Well, we talked to what's your favorite part about playing the linebacker's position?
My favorite spot is probably the freedom. And the freedom, you get to run around in space, but you're not really – you don't have to cover a lot of wide receivers. You can run around in space and make plays on the running backs.
Yeah, running backs, tight ends, and you get to kind of rush occasionally too.
Yes,
so,
sir.
Looking back at last year, he played 10 games. He had 55 total tackles, 36 of which were solo. What would you say is the most important part about playing that position?
I got to say reading the backs. Linebacker's a fairly easy position to play. If you do your job, you read where the running back goes, and you just read your keys.
You talked about calling out the defensive alignments. When the play is snapped, do you typically have to kind of call out which holes they have to fill, or is it kind of automatic?
It's pretty much automatic. We usually know in pre-play, at least, we'll figure out what gap everybody has, and we're gaps on defense. So, I mean, everybody's got their own gap. Everybody does their job, so we can stop the running back.
We talked also to Drew a little bit. When it comes to when you're not playing football, what do you tend to, what other activities do you have going on?
I'm also involved in DECA. I'm on the schools board, not high and mighty state president like Mr. Shea, but I'm also involved in DECA, and I'm involved in FCA too.
What's FCA?
Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Okay. What do you want to do after school's over?
I'm interested more in biology. I think I'm going to major in biology and maybe minor in business.
Well, what do you want to do with those 2 degrees?
I'm really not sure yet.
Just know that you have an interest in them?
Yeah, biology definitely is what my interest is, and hopefully probably sales.
Being a senior, obviously you've had a couple of games against Brownsburg over the course of time.
Yes, sir.
Would you consider them one of the school's biggest rivals or a personal rival to you? You always want to see a big W on the board after that game?
Yes, definitely. My sophomore year, I tore my ACL in the first game when I was starting, and 2 games that got me really at the beginning of the game not being able to play was Fishers in Lucas Oil and at Brownsburg. Those are the 2 games that really got me, and you could tell that definitely the atmosphere that was at Brownsburg, just the rivalry atmosphere, it really got to me, and that was a tough one to swallow.
Do you feel the same against other close schools like Plainfield?
Not as much. There's something with Brownsburg. I say there's got to be something with Brownsburg.
Something in the water down there.
There
right?
is, yeah. And I mean, I guess with the sectional losses we've had the past few years, I'm starting to get the same thing with Ben Davis.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions I have. I thank both you and Drew for coming out and being on the show. We'll take another quick timeout, and then we come back. We'll talk to athletic director for Avon, Brad Holsinger. So just give us 1 second, and we'll be right back.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
I think that's fantastic.
Welcome back. This is the McDonald's Hendricks County Sports Show on audiosportsonline.net, brought to you by your local Brownsburg or Avon McDonald's. You can stop in any Brownsburg or Avon McDonald's and try one of their $2 tasty specials, the jalapeno burger or triple cheeseburger. McDonald's is a proud supporter of Avon and Brownsburg athletics and is proud to host the McDonald's Hendricks County Sports Show, taped Wednesday nights on location and aired Friday nights before football on xrbradio.com, 1610 a.m. McDonald's has 2 locations in Brownsburg and Avon. In Brownsburg, they are located at the corner of Main and Odell next to March and just off of Green Street next to Interstate 74. In Avon, you can find them at the corner of 267 and 36 next to Kroger, where we are currently on location at today, or on Rockville Road next to Meyer. Stop in and try one of those tasty treats today. Like we talked about, we're joined in by Brad Holsinger now. I think a lot of our listeners maybe do not know how detailed and involved a high school athletic director actually is, and I was kind of hoping you could take some time to enlighten us and talk about that, because I mean there's so much more than just organizing schedules. You have transportation, facilities, gear, certification of insurance. I mean, it's just so much, and it never really ends for you.
Well, you're absolutely right. And what's interesting, there's over 400 schools in the state, and usually there's probably 50 new ADs each year. So I'm not sure if they're not getting the training or don't care for the work, but it's something that I've been doing for the last 19 years, and I think I had a kind of a heads up compared to most, as I was an assistant AD for 3 years, so I was able to kind of get my feet wet and kind of learn slowly compared to some of these new ADs that are thrown into it from the get-go and are swimming upstream from the beginning. But you're absolutely right. There's a lot involved, and I wish we had time to talk about everything. But
if we did that, we'd be here all night.
Yeah, let's spend time talking about the kids, yeah.
Well, you talk about it. I mean, we just had 2 great student athletes come in. How rewarding of an experience is it when you get to see those students succeed, not just in the classroom, but also on the field? Absolutely.
And, my kids graduated here in the last 10 years, and that's one of the things that when they were hanging out at the field or the courts or whatever, they were such good role models to look up to, and so it's a great place to raise my kids. And you're absolutely right. We've got a great student body. We have over 900 students involved in athletics, and almost all of them are great role models for our younger kids in the community.
What would you say is your favorite part about being the AD, not just overall being an AD, but also at Avon High School?
I think right now it's just working with the kids. After my kids graduated, it was kind of a little bit of a void there, not having that contact as a parent with athletics. But now we've started a couple groups with our Student Athletic Council that has 20 kids, student athletes in it, and one rep from each sport. So I've enjoyed working with them and doing some community projects. But just watching the kids come in as freshmen, and then by the time they leave as seniors, just becoming great role models, men and women, and ready for that next phase of their life.
What do you find the most challenging about your job in the day-to-day operations, of being the AD of such a large and prestigious school?
Just not enough time. I mean, there's so many things to do, and like I said, we've got a great support staff in our office, and also our assistant AD, Lance Larkey, and great administrators that help out. But, it's just those things that you come in and expect to do, something on your to-do list there, and all of a sudden something happens, and, it doesn't get done until the next day. But I enjoy working with the coaches, as I've said, working with the kids, working with our staff, and we've got a very dedicated staff that work with our young people, and I think that's what I find most rewarding is working with the coaches and the kids.
You talked about coaches. Chris Worley brought it up. Got a new hire today.
Actually, it was Monday at the board meeting. We hired Jennifer Chastain as our softball coach. Our previous coach took a position back in her home state in California, and before that it was Jenny Shadovich, who I think was the coach for about 10 years. So, one of the things in terms of being able to have successful programs, you need that coach who's going to stick around. And unfortunately, we are on our third coach in 3 years, but I think we've got a good one. I know Jennifer was here and played with my daughter when I came here 10 years ago, and outstanding, and she loves softball. She has a passion for softball, and I think she's going to do great things with our program.
How did you get to become an athletic director? You talked about being an assistant AD. Were you a coach and educator first, just kind of fell into being an athletic director?
Sure. I actually started coaching when I was 19 years old up at Bishop Dwenger High School, and was going to school at IPFW and took a couple education classes, and I coached baseball up there, and we were 4-27 our first year, and I was a volunteer coach, and I wasn't really sure if that was something that I wanted to do, but stuck with it and taught math and coached basketball eventually at Belmont for 7 years, assistant AD for 3. Then I was the AD up there for 7 years before coming to Avon here, I think it was 12 years ago.
So let's also take a look. I saw you brought the Avon Orioles schedule. What games are you looking forward to the most, particularly on the football side of things?
Well, I think any time that you get to open the season or any time you get to play at Lucas Oil, I think that's a special treat. Like I said, I've been here 10 years, and I think this is the 4th or 5th time that we've been able to play at the RCA Dome or at Lucas Oil, and I think I enjoy it as much as the kids do. I usually get there a couple hours early and walk around and use my all-access pass as much as I can, and go to some places I probably shouldn't go, but it's just kind of a neat affair. But
I think I need to get a media pass for this year.
But you look at the schedule and with the new conference this year and picking up Lawrence Central for 1 year, and I'm not sure if Coach Bless shared it with you, but next year we're going to open up with Plainfield, so we're looking forward to that.
That's a good rivalry.
Absolutely, and picking up Ben Davis and picking up Whiteland there week 4 or 5. It's going to be a tough schedule. The kids are going to have to come play every week, and I'm sure Coach Bless talked about it. It's a matter of staying healthy and getting to the tournament, and even then you've got Ben Davis, Brownsburg, and Pike in your sectional, and that's a tough sectional. But I just enjoy I enjoy the rivalries. I enjoy the big crowds. I enjoy the Friday nights, especially when it's 70 and sunny. It's when it's 40 and rainy that it costs the athletic department a little money, and not that we just look at the bottom line, but we have to pay our bills as well. But should be a fun year.
Well, if the weather continues, it's been pretty mild summer, so hopefully that means a pretty nice fall. So hopefully we'll be able to get some good crowds out there for you. You talk about being able to see the maturity of some of these student athletes. If you take a look at a guy like junior Brandon Peters. I mean, he's just continued to grow from his freshman year. now going into that junior campaign, gets a lot more schools looking at him. How do you think he'll handle up to that pressure?
I think the coaching staff will do a great job of preparing Brandon not only for on the field but off the field, and have done a great job developing his football skills and his leadership skills. So, like I said, I think the football staff will do a great job. I think Brandon would do a great job leading their team, and that's the nice thing about football. You've got a lot of kids out there who are leaders, and if one kid kind of stumbles a little bit, another kid usually steps up and helps them out.
Right. Obviously, when you're talking to Drew and Chris, they have a lot of activities going on besides just the football field. So obviously they're pretty involved in not just football and athletics, but overall as a student body, and that's got to be something you'd like to see.
Well, I think it sounds kind of silly, but they are students first and athletes second, and they are very involved, and it's amazing. One of the things they talk about is time management in athletics, and these kids do a great job of managing their time and being involved not only here at the local level, but as you heard from Drew there, he's involved at the national level or the state level with his DECA presidency. So, and they're always working on projects. This first game with Ben Davis, the DECA group, some of our student athletes are doing the cameo night and doing some fundraising for some Army care packages, which I'm sure they'll talk about later. But they have so much going on, and like I said, not only doing great things for Avon High School on and off the field, but doing the great things for our community as well.
Let's go and take a look, because I know it's not all just about football. There's obviously a lot of other great sports you guys got over there at Avon. 8 fall sports, I believe. Oriole Golf, I know they just finished third at the Ben Davis Invitational, so had been glad to see that.
Absolutely, and they were second at county, losing by 1 stroke to our neighbors to the north with the purple golf bags, but congratulations to Brownsburg. As you know, football opens up this week at Lucas Oil. We still have tickets on sale, $10 pre-sale, $13 at the door, so make sure you get those ahead of time. Volleyball team opened up ranked number 1. Yep, ranked number 1, but fell to Center Grove last night. But I'm sure, seems like they start out a little slow, but come tournament time they'll be rolling. Boys and girls soccer teams both are ranked number 1 in the state. The boys opened up last night with Brew-Buff, and because of the weather they were delayed and had to reschedule. The girls are playing Cathedral as we speak, and I think they're up 1-0. Girls cross country ranked number 2 in the state. Boys cross country number 13. They open up this weekend at Plainfield at the
Relays.
Yeah, at the Plainfield Relays, absolutely. Boys tennis team opened up Monday night with a 5-0 win over Crawfordsville, and they, I think, have another match tomorrow night. And then finally, our cheerleaders participated this summer at the county fair and finished 3rd county and 3rd overall. So we are hitting the ground running this week and looking forward to a great fall.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up cheerleading. I don't think a lot of people recognize that as much of a sport as it is. I didn't even know they participated at stuff like that at the fair and tournaments and stuff. Well, can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because that's kind of interesting.
Sure. They have a summer competition, which is, I guess, a little bit different than the state competition that they perform under at the IASP competition in October, November. A little different routine, but I think the girls enjoy not only the doing the sideline cheer, but they also enjoy doing the competition cheer. All I know is they put a lot of hours in practicing, early morning practices, late evening practices to get their routine down. And like I said, they finished 3rd and hope to improve on that at the state competition in November.
I was talking to Chris a little bit about before the show that during the summer, it seems like by the time school actually gets going, golf, or particularly girls golf, is halfway through their season. Is that correct?
They are. The one thing with the girls golf is most practices start on Monday. Their practice actually starts that Friday before. They only have to get 2 practices in before they start their competitions, and I think they've had 4 or 5, and they're in the Hall of Fame Classic this weekend and conference here in a couple of weeks, and before you know it, it'll be sectional, regional, and state. But they are, most of them have been playing all summer, with whether it's been through the junior league or on their own. So hopefully they're ready to go.
When it comes to golf, I know you have to kind of coordinate kind of where they're going to practice at. Is that at Prestwick?
Yes, yeah, we have a partnership with Prestwick, and they practice and play out at Prestwick. So they get to play on one of the nicest courses in the state.
Well, you have anything else you'd like to share while you're with us today?
No, just thank you for your support, and just want to give a shout out to our Platinum and Platinum Plus sponsors, which will be in our Sports Boosters fall sport program here in the next couple of weeks. But just like you, without our partnerships, we couldn't do the things that we can do.
Well, we're glad to have you on, and hopefully maybe we can do it again in the near future. We'll take a quick timeout, and when we come back, Chris will join me, and we'll break down some of the early action going around Hendricks County. You're listening to the AudioSportsOnline.net coverage of the McDonald's Hendricks County Sports Show. Welcome back to the McDonald's Hendricks County Sports Show on AudioSportsOnline.net, brought to you by your local Brownsburg or Avon McDonald's. We're at the Avon 267 location. You know, the reason I love this location so much, we got the Avon colors right behind us.
I thought about the fabric. Coach Bless was here with his nice Avon shirt. That's right. It goes
blended right in.
It did. And Avon McDonald's, we thank them for having us and having the show again this season.
I'm glad to have, I didn't know if I was coming back for the Hendricks County Sports Show, so I'm glad it's a tandem again.
Right. That's good news.
Let's go and talk a little bit about some of the results. As we talked, to Holsinger, athletic director for Avon, a little bit about, so much is going on already, even though it's just a month into the school year. Yeah. But football is getting going, and you have the game this Friday for Brownsburg. So you want to tell us a little bit more about who they're facing and what's going on with that?
We talked about Avon's opener. Of course, for our Hendricks County Sports Show, we're going to mention Brownsburg. We'll be in Brownsburg next week for this show, but they have a big game. It's a tough game. Last year, they ended the season by getting drilled at Pike pretty good in the sectional by a superior Pike team. Well, they're going to try and turn that around here in game one as Brownsburg's going to travel to Pike again. So they'll begin their season where they ended it last year, but we expect a much closer and maybe even a better result. A lot of good things happen for Brownsburg football this summer. Their sophomore quarterback now, Hunter Johnson, got a lot of publicity and media attention this year because of his growth, went to a couple good camps. He's really improved. He's got a couple scholarship offers, including from schools such as Tennessee and a few others. And I've seen him here a little bit in the practice and the scrimmage, and he just looks tremendous. Of course, they have Tokes Akinrabadi is back now as a junior, 1,000-yard rusher last year. Defense, we don't know yet. They've got to replace a lot of guys, but Brownsburg football is going to be better this year. They were 3-8 last season, but they have a tough first test on the road here at Pike. So we'll see how that goes Friday night.
Are you obviously you're a little excited about that Brownsburg game? Obviously, you follow it very closely. You talk about the loss of defense, and typically the two places that you want to see, at least as a high school football coach, that you're ready to go on is defense and your rushing game.
Sure, that's right. But really, if you looked at Brownsburg's seasons last year, they were so hurt on offense by being one-sided. Really, they could only run the ball. Hunter Johnson came in as a freshman quarterback in the second game due to injury, and the old expression, he was thrown to the Lions or the Wolves, whichever have it. And, it was tough for him. He didn't have a good grasp of the offense. He just got thrown in right away. You could see some talent, but they were a one-dimensional team pretty much all year, run only. Now I can tell you already, I know from the summer and just what we've seen, they're going to change up their offense a little bit, and they're going to have a more balanced attack. So I just don't know too much about the defense yet. We'll see. But I know the offense is going to be much better. They're going to score more points.
Well, that's always a good thing. Obviously we saw last year.
Yeah.
I was at the Decatur game.
Yeah.
I can't even remember. I think it was the final score was like 84-73.
Right, that first game, I forget who that was against, but that was exciting.
Yeah, it was one of the first games I did last year for Audio Sports Online, and I just calling the game, there was just so much action back and forth. So offense is fun to watch, but I'll always be a defense. I want to see a low-scoring game.
I do too. I like it. We like power football, and I know that Decatur Central quarterback's back again this year, so watch out for them.
The boys cross country team for Brownsburg opened their season Sunday with a Hokum Karam relay race at Fishers High School. The host team won the event, while the Bulldogs narrowly missed second place by 1 point to Mount Vernon High School. Believe we have a coaching connection there, at least with basketball for Brownsburg. Leading the way for Brownsburg was the tandem of Elijah Wagner and Harry Satho. I'm going to really butcher this name. I'm really doing bad with the names today.
Well, these aren't easy.
Harry Sathya-Murthy with a fourth place finish. So obviously, congrats to them. A good way to get the season started.
Yep. Cross country in full swing. Before you talk about some practice and training, those kids run a lot of hard miles, and they start their training, of course, in spring and summer. They're running all summer.
Yeah, I don't know much about cross country. I'll be honest. I just know it's a lot of running, kind of like track and field, except it's much more rugged.
That's not for us. Gee.
No, it's
we'll
not.
Leave that to those athletes.
I think walking the dog's hard at this point in my life. So, yeah, I'm going to leave the cross country to the younger, more athletic. The girls cross country team opened their season also with the resounding win over the Marauders in Mount Vernon on Monday night. Once again, a Hokum Karam style meet for the Brownsburg. They took 4 of the top 5 spots. Leading the charge was the senior pair of Julie Popenfoos and Cassidy Brown, as they put up a solid mile time while running all alone well out front of the race, averaging about 6 minutes and 15 seconds over the 4 miles. So that's some impressive running.
Yeah, in any high school sport, you depend on your seniors. There's a couple seniors on the girls cross country team coming through big time.
The cross-country teams will be back in action Saturday at Plainfield, so that'll be something to keep an eye on if you're in the area. Like I said, it's kind of very interesting when you think about cross-country, so something interesting if you've never checked out, maybe go and check out that at Plainfield.
Yeah, I've seen a few, and also, it's important for cross-country runners to receive the support of course, they're going to have their parents out there, but to the other kids and stuff that go out there, and when they're making a lap, every 5 minutes or so. I mean, they're running a long way, but to hear people cheering them on, they'll all tell you that helps them.
Over the weekend, the lady golf team participated in the Ben Davis Invite, as a couple of the schools that we're going to talk about did. The girls finished 8 out of 16 teams, so about halfway through, which is not a bad place to finish at all. Maddie Cody finished with top honors for the team, scoring an 80. Emma Wilkins also played an excellent round of golf, coming in with an 85.
Yep, girls golf well underway. Of course, they play some nice courses, play some of the courses that are challenging to any amateur player around Central Indiana.
I have golf clubs. I don't think I've ever actually gone to the tee to actually use them.
You don't want to mess with these girls. If they're shooting at 80, that's good enough for me.
I was looking at some of the pars when I was doing my prep for the show. Some of the pars like 74, and they're shooting a 72. I'm like, mine's going to be in the hundreds, maybe even the 200s.
It's surprising, in high school golf. Of course, your top players, they're going to shoot those scores. Now, you may have some lesser players that are out there they're participants, and, that's good for them. But you got some outstanding young golf talent here in Hendricks County.
The girls golf team also won its competition against county foes Cascade and Danville with the team score of 181 to Cascade's 228 and Danville's 238 on Monday. So a very, very good score for the team overall. The champion for the match was Abby Cody with a good round of 44. Other solid performances came from Andrea Wesson with 45, and Emma Wilkins once again had a good score. Maddie Cody and Morgan Keir all with 46. So that's a very, very nice par and a very, very good team score overall.
Yes, yep, you said it.
The girls are at home again tonight to take on the high-ranking conference opponent Noblesville, so obviously wish them luck. Not sure we talked about it with Avon Prestwick. I'm not sure where Brownsburg plays at. Do you happen to know?
I don't know. They probably play some rounds at West Chase and all over. I'm not sure, but Brownsburg does have a good golf program this year.
I heard they're hoping to get the BMW championship back at what's the name of that golf? Crooked Stick, yeah.
Right.
So obviously golf up on the rise here in central Indiana, which is a very, very good thing to see.
Yep, you can't talk, we're going to talk a little bit later, but you can't talk about golf in central Indiana and these high schools without mentioning the pro now, Patrick Rogers from Avon. He won a state championship here, and I was at the John Deere Classic this summer and saw Patrick competing there, and he's right there with the pros. I think he's going to be a good pro. Of course, he's very young, but he's getting his feet wet on the pro tour this year. Patrick Rogers from Avon High School, Indiana state champ.
That's obviously something to keep an eye on. Let's go and take a look now at Plainfield High School. The Plainfield team took to the gridiron for a scrimmage against Brownsburg on Friday. I believe you were there for that.
Yes,
so was it a good scrimmage?
It was. Both teams, you're going to line up and you have a set number of plays against the defense each side, so it's a good experience for them. They're going to blow the plays dead when a quarterback may get hit. But I got to admit, I was there, of course, just taking notes and watching the Brownsburg side, but saw Plainfield a little bit. Looked fine. I know they lost a talented running back. Oh gosh, I forget his name. Maple, I think. He also played basketball.
He played basketball,
right? But I'm sure they're going to be fine. They're coming out against tough competition, Brownsburg, right away. So we know they're going to be playing Avon football. We believe next year, but I haven't looked at their schedule yet. But it was a good experience for everybody, and they got some hitting in against competition.
Well, they face Columbus North again this Friday, so it'll be very interesting. You can hear that game on audiosportsonline.com. I will have that game Friday night, so if you care to tune in, you can check that game out. Let's go ahead and take a look now at the Quakers in action. As we talked about, at Prestwick, the lady golf team they played 9-hole match of par of 36. They finished second, right behind Avon, right there, Avon's home place. Freshman Kayla Binge led the way for the Quakers with an impressive round of 41 when you look at the par of 36 on that 9-hole.
There you go. There's a 5 over 41. Binge has been around a little bit. Well, she's a freshman, but I recognize that name, so she should be good for them.
Yeah, she's a very up-and-coming young talent. Like, when I was doing my research for the show, she has recruiting availability already as a freshman. So she's obviously a very, very good talent there.
Coming out leading the squad right away.
Yep. They were also in action for the Ben Davis Invite at South Grove Golf Course for 18 holes at a par 70 event, finishing in second place behind Lebanon. Binge once again led the charge with an impressive round of 72 at the par 70 event, so only 2 over par for her. So that's once again a very impressive score from the freshman. They are in action again this Saturday for the Hall of Fame Invitational in Batesville, Indiana at Hillcrest Country Club, so we wish them luck.
Yep, sure enough.
Boys tennis for Plainfield gets started this Friday at Brownsburg.
Yeah.
So once again, I know the Avon and Brownsburg have a good rivalry. I think it's really all three.
Well, sure.
I call it the 267 rivalry.
There you go.
So
you always include Plainfield in that. I'm going to pick Brownsburg tennis in this one, though. Plainfield tennis had a bit of a struggle, and I know Brownsburg, with their coach Karen Starkey, they run a good program. So even though they lost some people to graduation, I would pick Brownsburg's tennis for that.
Yeah, that's one of my goals this year is I want to go take some time and go see one of the tennis matches for the Hendricks County Sports Show. I love tennis, played tennis myself in high school, so that's something I am looking forward to now that boys tennis is back in season.
We'll get one of the tennis coaches on from one of these schools.
Monday night saw the Lady Quakers volleyball team open their season in a big way with a 3-1 win over Pike. Seniors Anna Phillip and Mallory Wright led the charge at the net, quite literally, with 10 kills apiece. So they were right there getting it done at the front of the net. And sophomore Lydia Lewis also had an impressive night defensively with 11 digs. Have you ever watched volleyball?
Oh, yeah, sure. Very entertaining.
Have you ever had to call volleyball?
No, I think you have.
I have once, and that was one of the hardest, most challenging
I'll
things.
bet.
That ball flies around more than you think it does, and try and get all those players. And
I think you should
right
keep
at the net.
doing it, JP, because it is televised on the Big Ten net and elsewhere, so they have volleyball.
Yeah, it's a fun sport to watch for sure though. Sure. Saw a couple of good volleyball matches down when I was a student at UND. They had a very good program. Always seemed to go deep into regional rounds. So that might be something else we have to try and get done this week or this season, I should say. Like we talked about, we're hoping to have more coach.
Yeah.
So obviously, we wanted to talk to a couple of the volleyball coaches, particularly one of the state winners from last year.
Yeah, we need the Avon volleyball coach on for sure. We'll try and get that done for you, folks.
Lastly, now let's go and take a look at Avon High School. Girls and boys cross country will open their schedule this Saturday at the Plainfield Relays. So results will be in next week for that. So obviously, you'll want to hear about that. Girls golf for the Oriole team finished third at the Ben Davis Invite behind Plainfield and Lebanon on the 18-hole par 70 event. So once again, they have the Hall of Fame Invitational on Saturday. So a lot of those teams, it's pretty much invitational, and they're pretty much all going to be there competing against each other as usual.
That's right. Tough competition there.
But finishing third at the Ben Davis Invite's very, very nice. Boys tennis saw Avon steamroll Crawfordsville on Monday. Total team score of 5-0. Junior Ryan Lingle led the way at number one singles slot with a 6-4, 6-2 match victory. So they're getting it done at Avon on the court.
Yeah, Avon's developing a good tennis program. They've had good coaching in the past. I'm not sure. We should have asked the athletic director. I think they have a new boys tennis coach, but they're developing a good program for sure.
They were also in action against Noblesville last night, so we don't have results at the time of the show, but obviously that's, like you talked about, one of the other things we want to try and get done is having a tennis coach on, so maybe we could look at that for Avon for next time, particularly if they continue to steamroll opponents like that.
Yeah, certainly.
We talked about the girls volleyball team got their season started last night against Center Grove. Obviously, an unfortunate loss, as we talked to Coach Holsinger about.
Right, that's state champs, two-time state champs. So that's a big-time program, big media attention on their volleyball program. So, of course, losing to Center Grove. Center Grove has an excellent athletic program in almost any sport. So I imagine no shame, but, you can – I'm sure Avon volleyball will rebound. I don't know about their player mix this year versus last year. But that's one of the top programs in the state, rated number one.
Yep. So we came into the season rated number one. We'll see how the rankings shape up for that with the first week loss. But like I said, I'm sure they'll rebound. They'll get right back at it, particularly being such a strong competitive program. As we talked about with Coach Bless about the football team, they'll be in action Friday against Lawrence Central. So you looking forward to seeing how Avon does this year?
I sure am. Excited about it. I love Coach Bless. Sure, I'm a Brownsburg guy, but he's fantastic. And I pick them to win this game. I think they're going to be really strong. Brandon Peters, I couldn't be more impressed with a junior quarterback. From what I've seen in this conference this year, he may be the top. He's such an athlete. So I think Brandon Peters and Avon going to be a load for anybody. Of course, I jumped in there and tried to get a reaction to Coach from Coach, and he did the right thing about Ben Davis game is in week number 2. And that's going to have Operation Football there, and everybody, the media attention from the Indianapolis market will be on that big game. So, because Ben Davis has received a lot of attention for football this year, like they
and
normally
when you also
do.
look at the sectional loss too,
right?
That plays
sectional
into
loss
it
that
too.
feeds
So
into
it's a
it,
revenge
too. Right.
factor.
That's going to be big, but I think they're going to be have a good season.
Not to get too far ahead, but fourth in week 4 for them, they got Brownsburg.
Right.
So,
and where's the game at this year?
it is away for Avon, so it's at home for
It's at
Brownsburg.
Right. Okay, so it's payback time for the Bulldogs because Avon handled them pretty easy last year, and the freshman quarterback for Brownsburg had struggles that game. But big season. Can't wait for Henderson County football this year.
And we also want to talk about the Lady Orioles. They took to the pitch to open their soccer season, one of the very few soccer teams that had actually gotten started at Pike, and they had a dominating win, 7-0 against Pike. And as we know, Pike is a very good athletic program, so that's a very solid win for them to open up their season.
That's right. And, you talk about soccer. There's a big rivalry, Brownsburg and Avon right there. All these kids that are playing for them, they on the west side, we've had a bunch of youth soccer. And they both have very fine programs. That's a huge rivalry game.
Yeah, we talk about these being rivalries. One of the things I'll never forget last year, I went to Avon to do a game, and it was against Decatur Central. It was at Avon, and the thing that impressed me is there were some students from Brownsburg in the stands watching the game, and they were, talking to the Avon. So it's a rivalry, but it's a respected rivalry, and you got to love that.
Yeah, I think so too. A lot of these kids know each other, and I think so too. They do respect each other.
Senior Cassidy Blanca and sophomore Hope Van Wagner and junior Kaylee Katterheinrich each had 2 goals apiece, so led the way of 6 of the 7 points, all coming from two goals apiece from each one of those. They'll be back in action tonight at home against Cathedral, so another very, very tough test for Avon in the early schedule.
Anytime you play a Cathedral sports squad, that's tough.
Well, that's about all I got. Do you have anything else you'd like to talk about,
No,
Chris?
we're good. Very, very excited to be back here at McDonald's with you again, JP. We're going to have a good season, good show. We're going to try and feature a lot of different sports, get a lot of different coaches on for you. Really looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, that will just about do it for the show. It's been a fun, great first show for us here to open up the fall season. The McDonald's Hendricks County Sports Show was written by me, J.P. Sinclair, and produced and distributed by AudioSportsOnline.net. Some of the music provided tonight from Mevio's Music Alley. You can check them out at music.mevio.com. I want to give special thanks to Avon football coach Mark Bless, Avon athletic director Brad Holsinger for joining us today, and also to the student athletes that showed up, Drew Shea and Zach Williams. Great having them on. I cannot believe how involved they are actively with the school.
Outstanding young men. That's one of the things that I love best about this show is we meet some outstanding young student athletes here in Hendricks County.
Our next show will be in Brownsburg at the Main Street location. We record on location on Wednesday with the show airing on xrbradio.com 16:10 a.m. Friday prior to the football game time. So you can always check it out Friday, but love to see you on location. It's always great seeing the fans come out and support high school athletics in Central Indiana. So obviously, love to see you out there. If you can, send any feedback, or if you have questions or comments you'd like to hear talked about on the show, you can send those to jp.sinclair1988@gmail.com, and you can follow me on Twitter @SinclairJP. Thank you for tuning in. Till next time, I'm JP for Chris Worley, hoping you support high school athletics as much as we do.